Haneen Zoabi, also Haneen Zoabi, is a Palestinian Arab and an Israeli citizen, the first Arab-Israeli woman to be elected to the Israeli legislative body on an Arab party's list. Zoubi ran in the 2009 legislative elections for the Balad party. Biography: Haneen Zoabi was born in Nazareth to a Muslim family. Zoubi studied philosophy and psychology at the University of Haifa, earning a Bachelor's of Arts, and received a Master's of Arts in Communications from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. She was the first Arab citizen of Israel to graduate in media studies, and established the first media classes in Arab schools. She also worked as a mathematics teacher and worked as a school inspector for the Israeli Ministry of Education. She is a relative of Sif el-Din el-Zoubi, a former mayor of Nazareth and member of the Knesset between 1949 and 1959, and again from 1965 until 1979, and Abd el-Aziz el-Zoubi, a deputy health minister and the first Arab member of an Israeli government. Political career: Zoubi joined Balad in 2001. In 2003, she co-founded the NGO Ilama Euromedia Center for Arab Palestinians in Israel. Zoubi was its general director until she resigned shortly before the 2009 election to focus on her political career. Prior to the 2009 elections, she won third place on the Balad list, and entered the Knesset after the party won 3 seats. She became the first female Arab MK to represent an Arab party. Zoubi ran for Knesset as a Balad candidate in 2006, but was too low on the party's electoral list to win a seat. Political views and opinions: Zoubi rejects the idea of Israel as a solely Jewish state, which he describes as inherently racist. She has argued that this is the only way to combat Avigdor Lieberman's demand that Israeli citizens take loyalty oaths. Balad's concept, which rejects the Jewish state idea, is the only idea that can remove Avigdor Lieberman from the circle of political and moral legitimacy. When you agree with the Jewish state idea, you necessarily agree with the idea of loyalty to this state. Rejecting the Jewish state concept will block the road for anyone who demands our loyalty to such a state. Zoubi sees no difference between Lieberman and more mainstream Israeli politicians, saying that Lieberman, Zvi Livni, and Benjamin Netanyahu are all a bunch of fascists pure and simple. In 2009, she met with Code Pink, and Coalition of Women for Peace. At the 18th Knesset swearing-in ceremony on February 24, 2009, she left the Knesset plenum before the singing of Hatikva, Israel's national anthem. "Hatikva doesn't represent me," she later said. "I preferred to leave the room, because I don't appreciate hypocrisy." According to the Jerusalem Post, Zoubi has not denounced Iranian acquisition of nuclear weapons, explaining, "I'm afraid of real risk rather than of potential risk. The Iranian bomb was only a potential threat. The real danger was the IDF. It is more dangerous to the world, more dangerous to everyone, more dangerous to the Palestinians, to Israelis, to have Israel as the only powerful state. The Israeli violence of the army is an outcome of Israel's convenient feeling that no one will restrict her." Zoubi rejects any form of national service for Israel's Arab citizens. In an interview with Jonathan Cook, Zoubi said, "It is frustrating and exhausting having always to be on the defensive about why I identify as a Palestinian, why I am not a Zionist, why the Jewish state is not democratic and cannot represent me, why I am entitled to citizenship. It is a Sisyphean labor." Participation in the Gaza flotilla: on May 31, 2010, Zoubi participated in the Gaza flotilla. She was on board the MV Mavi Marmara where violence broke out when Israeli commandos boarded the ship with intention of redirecting it to the port of Ashdod. In a speech at the Knesset, Zoubi describing the raid as a pirate military operation. During her speech, she was repeatedly interrupted by the other Israeli lawmakers, who furiously shouted, "Go to Gaza, traitor!" During her address she said, "Israel spoke of a provocation, but there was no provocation. Why does the government of Israel oppose an investigation?" Later in a press conference she elaborated, "It was clear from the size of the force that boarded the ship that the purpose was not only to stop the sailing, but to cause the largest possible number of fatalities in order to stop such initiatives in the future." 2 security guards were assigned for her protection after she received death threats. One man who offered a reward on Facebook of free groceries for killing Zoubi was arrested. Israeli Interior Minister Eli Yishai requested that Attorney General Yehuda Weinstein revoke Zoubi's parliamentary immunity and authorize Yishai to strip Zoubi of her Israeli citizenship. Yishai accused Zoubi of engaging in a premeditated act of treason, and claimed she used her immunity to protect her from prosecution, even though she assisted activists and was undoubtedly aware of their preparations to attack IDF soldiers. Likud MK Yariv Levin also accused Zoabi of betraying the State of Israel, and called for her prosecution. A Knesset committee voted 7-1 to recommend her parliamentary immunity be revoked, which attracted concern from the Inter-Parliamentary Union and was ultimately blocked by Knesset Speaker Reuven Rivlin, who ignored the recommendation and declined to submit it to a vote of the full Knesset. When the full Knesset met on July 13, 2010, it decided, in a 34-16 vote, to strip her of 3 parliamentary privileges as a penalty for her participation in the flotilla: the right to have a diplomatic passport, entitlement to financial assistance should she require legal help, and the right to visit countries with which Israel does not have diplomatic relations. She was also stripped of the right to participate in Knesset discussions and to vote in parliamentary committees. In 2011, Attorney General Yehuda Weinstein closed the case against Zoubi as a result of significant evidentiary and legal difficulties. Altercation in the Knesset. In 2011, Zoubi was accused of assaulting a female usher of the Knesset after she was asked to leave for heckling during a speech. Zoubi subsequently apologized to the usher, writing I didn't unregistered trademark T intend to push or harm you. I respect you and your work. I apologized in the press at my own volition without anyone having to tell me to. A majority of the MKs in the House committee said they were satisfied with Zoubi unregistered trademark's apology and would not consider further action. Attempted disqualification. In December 2012, it was announced that the Central Elections Committee and a panel of Supreme Court judges would hold discussions on whether to disqualify Zoubi, as well as the Balad and United Arab List parties, from the 2013 election. The request for her disqualification, submitted by MK Ofer Akyunis and which obtained the necessary number of signatures, stated that throughout her years in the Knesset, Zoubi has constantly undermined the State of Israel and has openly incited against the government, its institutions and IDF soldiers. The request further noted that Zoubi negates Israel's existence as a Jewish and democratic state, which makes Knesset candidates eligible for disqualification. After hearing the case, the Central Elections Committee disqualified Zoubi in a 19-9 vote. The Israeli Supreme Court overturned the disqualification, with the 9-judge panel headed by Supreme Court President Asher Grunis unanimously voting to overturn the ban. In February 2013, MK Danny Dornan initiated a bill dubbed the Zoubi Law, as an amendment to the basic law dealing with legislation. Specifically aimed at Zoubi, the new law would make it harder for the Supreme Court to overturn a decision by the Central Elections Committee. Under the law, the Supreme Court would be unable to overturn a Central Elections Committee decision unless the committee displayed extreme unreasonableness, while the committee will only be able to disqualify an MK or party with a 2/3 vote, as opposed to a majority. In addition, it also allows an MK to be impeached and removed from office if a sufficient number of Knesset members file a complaint and vote in favor of removal. 2014 investigation and suspension. On July 25, Israeli Attorney General Yehuda Weinstein ordered an investigation into charges of incitement and public disgrace. On July 29, following comments made about the recent kidnapping of 3 Israeli teenagers, Zoubi was suspended from the Knesset plenum for a duration of 6 months. See also, List of Arab members of the Knesset, references. External links, official sites, Hanin Zoubi on the Knesset website, see also, Samira Shackle. The NS interview, Hanin Zoubi. New Statesman. Retrieved August 7, 2010. David Hurst. Israel's harassment of citizens could ignite uprising, warns Arab politician. The Guardian. Retrieved August 7, 2010. An interview with Haneen Zoabi, the only female Arab in the Knesset, Alternatives International Journal, April 2009, a one- or two-state solution? Haneen Zoabi, S.J. Around the Bay, activists' account of raid differs from Israeli version, NPR, Peter Kenyon, June 1, 2010, videos, Hanin Zoubi attack in the Knesset and insults on YouTube, Zoubi receives death threats after surviving Israeli raid on Gaza aid flotilla video report by Democracy Now!